parent at 4 in the morning. Nobody want to watch him. She got Marsh watching the baby at 4 in the morning so she could what? Get some, do a verse? Let me get in here, bro. All this so you can do a verse, suck some, you a boot. My son ain't got no parent. 4 in the morning. Stop.
Chaos, flashing lights. A mother's scream piercing the night. That's the scene outside a Los Angeles hospital just hours ago, where paramedics raced in carrying a barely conscious toddler. Chrisean Rock's 2-year-old son, the same baby, who's been at the center of drama, headlines, and public feuds, is now fighting for his life. And the most shocking part? Nobody knows what really happened. Was it a sudden medical emergency or something much darker? Hospital staff were seen whispering behind closed doors. Security was doubled on the pediatric floor. And insider sources claim even the doctors were overheard saying, "This doesn't look right." And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Blueface was nowhere to be found. Not at the hospital. Not answering calls. Not even acknowledging the crisis publicly, sparking a frenzy online. What triggered the collapse? Was it preventable? Did someone ignore the warning signs? As fans flood social media with prayers, anger, and questions, the truth behind this tragedy is starting to surface, and what we've uncovered will leave you speechless. Stay with us, because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how a quiet night spiraled into a nightmare and how one family's darkest secret might finally be exposed. From the very beginning, it wasn't a normal celebrity story. When Chrisean Rock first announced her pregnancy, it wasn't celebrated with flowers and champagne. It was met with chaos. The baby wasn't born into love. He was born into a storm of fights, arrests, Instagram lives, and screaming matches that played out in front of millions. The father, Blueface, the same rapper who made headlines for all the wrong reasons, including cheating scandals, online beefs, violent outbursts, and public humiliation. What started as a toxic on-and-off relationship turned into a full-blown circus once a child was involved. And through it all, Chrisean tried to hold it together. But the pressure was brutal. There were days she posted videos of herself crying while holding the baby. Nights she'd go live at 3 a.m., talking about feeling alone, exhausted, and unheard. Rumors swirled about postpartum depression. Fans watched her unravel. Not on a reality show, but in real time. And the internet. It didn't help. People mocked her, judged her, made memes of her struggles, called her unfit, dramatic, even unstable. But no one could deny one thing. She loved her son, no matter how wild things got. Chrisean always had that baby in her arms, on her chest, beside her in every chaotic frame. So when the news broke that her son had been rushed to the hospital, and not just for a checkup, but in critical condition, everything changed. Reports say it happened just after midnight. Neighbors allegedly heard screaming from inside Chrisean's home. Not the usual arguments, something different, something raw, something terrifying. A 911 call was made. Paramedics arrived in less than 7 minutes. And when they entered the house, they found the baby unresponsive with what one EMT described as visible signs of distress. Immediately, he was placed on oxygen and rushed to the nearest pediatric trauma unit. But here's where things get even more disturbing. A nurse working the ER that night told a source anonymously that doctors weren't just treating a medical emergency. They were documenting everything. Bruises, swelling, inconsistent explanations. Signs that raised more questions than answers. And that's when security was called by the time the media got wind of it. The hospital had already locked down the 4th floor. No visitors allowed. No statements released. Just silence and Blueface. Not a single post. No call to fans. No pray for my son. No acknowledgement that his child was fighting for his life. And fans noticed quickly. People began flooding his page with comments like, "Your son is in the hospital. Where are you? How can you flex chains and ignore your baby? Chrisean deserves better, even now you're gone." Others pointed out how the roles seemed reversed. Chrisean, who the media had labeled unstable, was the only one by the child's side, crying, pacing, praying, while Blueface, the self-proclaimed provider, was missing in action, silent when it mattered most. And the timeline of events raised even more questions. Earlier that same day, Chrisean posted an Instagram story showing the baby laughing, dancing, and eating snacks. There were no signs of distress, no clues that something was wrong. Fans even commented on how healthy and happy he looked. So what changed between that video and the 911 call? Some insiders believe something happened inside the home, something that hasn't been revealed yet. Others think this was a medical condition that had been building quietly, unnoticed, and finally exploded. But the most chilling theory: this wasn't just an accident, that someone close knew the baby was sick and ignored the signs. Or worse, tried to cover them up. One source who claims to be close to Chrisean's inner circle told us she's been saying for weeks that something was off. She asked for help. No one listened. And now look. This statement alone has triggered an entire wave of panic online. Has this child been silently suffering while fans focused on drama and fights? Were there cries for help that got drowned out by gossip? And why are hospital staff being so tight-lipped? Some believe CPS has already been contacted. Others say authorities were spotted inside the hospital reviewing footage. One blogger even claims that a private investigator hired weeks ago by an anonymous party is suddenly active again. The pieces don't add up. And while the public watches from behind screens, refreshing for updates and praying for the baby's recovery, one thing is becoming painfully clear. This isn't just a celebrity crisis. This is a potential tragedy, and the truth. It's getting darker by the minute. It was around 2:17 a.m. when things took an even darker turn. An insider, someone claiming to work inside the hospital's administrative team, leaked a chilling voice memo to a gossip blog with over 2 million followers. In the short audio clip, a trembling voice says, "They're not saying it publicly yet, but the baby coded once in the ER. They had to resuscitate him." The word spread like wildfire. Coded meaning he stopped breathing. His heart may have stopped. That one sentence sent shockwaves through social media. Fans who were already panicking went into full breakdown mode, and just when emotions couldn't get higher, a photo surfaced. A blurry, grainy image, Chrisean slumped in a hallway chair, tears streaming down her face, her hoodie pulled over her head, rocking back and forth. Her phone on the floor, no glam, no filter, just raw pain. The caption from the person who shared it: "This is what a mother looks like when the world's watching." And still, no word from Blueface. Within minutes, was she crying for help and nobody listened? And that's when Blueface's mother entered the chat. Carl Isa, never one to stay silent, went live in the clip. She sat in her car, lips tight, eyes narrowed. "I'm gonna say this. Once she began, 'My grandson is strong. He gonna make it.' But the people around him, the ones acting like they care now? Where were y'all before?" She didn't name names, but she didn't have to. The shade was obvious. She was blaming Chrisean. And just like that, the internet split in two at half. The fans stood with Chrisean. She's been doing it alone. She begged for help and y'all turned your backs. The other half attacked her parenting. If the baby got hurt, it happened on her watch. Where was she when it happened? Now both parents were under fire, but the baby, he was still in critical care. And then came the most heartbreaking update yet. A pediatric specialist, brought in for emergency consultation, reportedly gave this statement to staff, overheard by an intern and later leaked. "He may survive, but the damage might be permanent." Those words shattered the internet. People cried on live. Fan pages held prayer circles. Hashtags like #PrayForBabyJr. and #JusticeForJr started trending. Meanwhile, CPS was now officially involved. They visited the hospital. They interviewed Chrisean. It contacted Blueface, who, according to one report, declined to appear in person. And while the system began moving behind closed doors, Chrisean finally broke her silence. At 7:03 p.m., she posted a live, eyes swollen, hair messy, voice shaking. "I just want him to be okay. I don't care what y'all say about me. Drag me, clown me, hate me. I don't care, just please, let my baby live." And in that moment, the world stopped judging and started grieving. But what Chrisean didn't know was that another twist was about to hit, one that would expose everything, and change this story forever. The hospital walls were quiet, but the internet was screaming, while Chrisean poured her heart out in that emotional, live, trembling, praying, begging for her son's life. Something was happening on the other side of town, something no one expected. A whistleblower stepped forward, someone claiming to have access to the hospital's internal records, not just medical, but security footage and the claims they made. Absolutely devastating. In a now viral anonymous voice message shared on a hip-hop news channel with 3 million subscribers. The voice says, "I shouldn't be saying this, but there's footage from the night the baby was rushed in. And what they found on the child's clothing and skin is not what the public's being told." Fans gasped, the message went on. There were traces of something not natural, something chemical. They're running tests now. That's why they locked the floor down. And that's why CPS is staying on site. Theories started spiraling. Did someone expose the child to a harmful substance? Was this something he accidentally consumed? Or was it worse, intentional neglect? People began connecting dots, pulling clips from Chrisean's lives where the baby was crawling on the floor near open containers. Fans zoomed into kitchen counters, bathroom sinks, even background clutter. Then a tweet storm broke the case wide open. A popular pop culture blogger posted screenshots from a DM with someone claiming to be an ex-nanny who worked for Chrisean. Briefly, in February, the messages read, "She loves him, but it's chaos in that house. I saw open pill bottles, stuff left on the floor. Once, he almost drank vape juice." Another message said, "I quit because no one took safety seriously. Got sick once and they brushed it off like it was teething. I knew something bad would happen eventually." That's when #ProtectBabyJr started trending globally. Celebs began weighing in. Megan Thee Stallion tweeted, "This baby didn't ask for any of this," praying he makes it out stronger. Cardi B went live saying, "Sometimes love ain't enough if you're surrounded by dysfunction. That baby deserves structure. Peace." Even Snoop Dogg posted a throwback pic of himself with his grandkids and wrote, "Kids first, always. No excuses." Meanwhile, Blueface doubled down. Instead of apologizing, instead of showing up, he went live from a studio session, laughing, recording, vibing to unreleased tracks. Someone asked in the comments, "Why aren't you at the hospital?" He smirked and said, "That's handled. We working over here." The backlash was immediate. Blogs dragged him. Twitter canceled him. Even some of his own fans turned on him. This man acting like his son didn't almost die. He's emotionally unavailable and physically absent. That baby don't recover, it's on both of them. But the most shocking reveal hadn't landed yet, because just when things seemed like they couldn't spiral further, a new leak dropped, an audio recording that's time. A private phone call between Chrisean and her older sister. You can hear Chrisean sobbing on the other end. "I didn't mean for this. I was just tired. I turned away for a second. And then he wasn't breathing." Her sister replied, "I told you to slow down. You've been doing too much, Chrissy. You needed help." Should have said something. "I did ask for help." Chrisean screamed. "Nobody cared. Blue ain't care. Y'all ain't care. Everybody left me with this pressure and now he's hurting." That audio tore through social media like a bomb. People were no longer just pointing fingers, they were crying. For her, the blame started shifting. The narrative started cracking. Maybe it wasn't just about irresponsibility. Maybe it was about burnout, about a mother trying to survive a storm while carrying a child through it. Mental health. Advocates began stepping in. One therapist tweeted, "This is what happens when young mothers are isolated, unsupported, and under constant public scrutiny." She needed a village, not a comment section. But others pushed back. She still had a duty. Exhaustion doesn't excuse endangerment. And then came the clip. An unreleased scene from an old episode of her reality show was leaked. One that never aired. In it, Chrisean sits in a confessional chair holding her son. She looks down at him and says, "I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I be trying. But sometimes I just want to run." Those words haunted viewers. People who once mocked her were now saying things like, "This isn't funny anymore." She was crying for help before this even happened. We watched a breakdown in real time and did nothing. But while the world processed this emotional whirlwind, the hospital prepared for a new test, a neurological scan to assess the extent of the damage. And that's when another insider leak landed. A text message between two doctors read, "We're seeing some irregular brain activity. We won't know long-term effects for days, but it's not looking good." The idea that this child, barely 2 years old, might have permanent brain damage sent shockwaves through every fan base. The question now wasn't just what happened. It was what happens next. And the scariest part, no one had an answer. Within just hours of the leaked audio and medical updates, the public turned into a frenzy of divided emotions: grief, rage, sympathy, and pure disbelief. Social media was no longer just reacting. It was exploding. On Twitter X, the top trending hashtags read, fan accounts posted tribute edits of Chrisean's son's smiling clips from past videos. The tiny moments that felt normal, innocent, untouched by chaos. They added soft piano music, captions like, "Stay strong, baby," and "You didn't deserve." This on Instagram, comment sections turned into emotional war zones. Every post on Chrisean's page, whether months old or recent, was flooded with support. "You're not alone. Keep fighting. We saw the signs. Now we're praying for healing." Motherhood doesn't come with a manual, but your love is undeniable. Blueface's page. It's a very different story. The moment he posted another selfie, flexing, shirtless, holding a cup of lean, the comment section went dark. "Your baby is in the hospital and this is what you post. Delete this. Be a father. How are you even real right now?" The backlash was swift, unforgiving, and growing louder by the second. And then the celebrities started jumping in. Kik Palmer, new mom herself, reposted a fan tweet and added, "The internet saw this coming, but it's still breaking my heart." Jaden Smith tweeted, "Don't wait until it's too late to step up. Energy like this hurts the culture." Boozy went live and said, "I don't care. What, nobody say that boy ain't been right for a minute? You gotta step in when a kid's involved? All this flexin' and neglectin'? Nah, bro." Even Love and Hip Hop castmates spoke up. Erica Mena, "As mothers, we are held to an impossible standard. But there comes a time when your pride don't matter. Only your baby does." Yandi Smith shared, "We were there when she tried to hold it down. We watched her cry on set. She needed backup, not cameras." And in the middle of all this public chaos, something deeper began to unfold. A movement, activists, and mental health advocates started posting about invisible postpartum crisis, pointing out that Chrisean's story wasn't just about fame or failure, but about what happens when young women are left unsupported in the harshest stages of motherhood. A viral thread read, "We laughed when she cried. We memed her meltdowns. We ignored the signs. Now a child's life is hanging in the balance. Let's not fail the next Chrisean." It got 1.2 million likes. On TikTok, mothers began posting side-by-side duets with Chrisean's breakdowns, sharing their own stories of being overwhelmed, alone, and judged. It became a trend, a painful, honest one. I was Chrisean once. Just didn't have 10 million people watching me fail. But the most intense conversation, it was about accountability, not just for Chrisean, but for Blueface. A clip resurfaced an old interview where he casually said, "I don't gotta be a full-time dad. Long as he got what he need, he good." People were enraged. Your child needs more than diapers and diamonds. Fatherhood ain't just about finances. It's about presence. You were loud during beefs. Now you're mute during crisis. Meanwhile, CP's officials released a short statement. "We are conducting a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding this incident. The child's safety is our top priority. No names, no blame." But enough to let the world know. They're watching now, and finally a statement came from the hospital. A carefully worded press release confirmed the child was in stable but serious condition. They noted signs of potential exposure to a harmful substance, did not label it as abuse or accident, pending further evaluation. Fans clung to that word, pending, because pending meant hope. Pending meant it wasn't too late. Pending meant there was still a chance this nightmare wouldn't end in tragedy. But as the hospital ran more tests, and the world waited on one final update, a source close to the situation dropped the most chilling line yet. "This isn't over." Not by a long shot. The next 24 hours could change everything. It was just after sunrise when the final most unexpected twist came crashing in, and it wasn't from a hospital, a blog, or even a celebrity. It came from a courtroom. A sealed document was leaked to the press. Family court summons. Dated within the last 48 hours. The petitioner, T. Rock, the respondent, Jonathan Porter, aka Blueface. And the title across the top. Emergency petition for sole custody. Fans gasped after weeks of silence, deflection, and damage. Chrisean had officially filed to take full legal control of her son. But what made it even more chilling? The reasons cited: ongoing danger to the child's safety due to environmental neglect, absence of paternal support, and exposure to higher-risk conditions. A full investigation was now confirmed. A judge had already reviewed the medical records, and the next hearing, scheduled in just 5 days. Suddenly, this wasn't just a family drama. It became a legal battle. It's one that could reshape the future of this child's life forever, and that wasn't even the last twist, just hours after the court filing leaked, a mysterious surveillance clip surfaced. Grainy, time-stamped, and recorded 2 nights before the emergency call. In the footage, allegedly taken from a neighbor's doorbell camera, Chrisean is seen rushing outside holding her baby. She's yelling into the phone, panicked, shaking, but the disturbing part: a man's voice is faintly heard in the background. Not Blueface, someone else. Possibly a friend, maybe a relative. But the voice says, "Just chill. You don't have to take him in. It's probably just gas." And that one sentence broke the internet again. Just gas. How many times has she been told to ignore her instincts? This baby could have died because people kept minimizing her fear. And now, fans had questions they needed answered. Who was that voice? Why did it take a full collapse for anyone to take her seriously? And will Blueface fight back in court, or walk away like nothing happened? As public opinion began swinging heavily in Chrisean's favor, something shifted. For the first time in this saga, people started seeing her as a mother first, not a fighter, not a reality TV star, not a headline. A mother in survival mode, surrounded by chaos, trying to protect what little she had left. And while the hospital released one more update saying the child had stabilized further and was now breathing unassisted, the truth remains: the damage is already done physically. Doctors are still unsure what long-term effects the baby might face. Neurologists say they'll need months of follow-ups. Developmental specialists have been brought in, emotionally. The scars run even deeper and legally. The next chapter has already begun. Chrisean single quotes as next live is already being teased. Her team's prepping a statement. There's talk of a docuseries, a sit-down interview, and yes, more footage to come. But until then, the world waits for Blueface's response, for the court's ruling, for the child's full recovery, and for the final truth behind everything that led up to this terrifying night. Because one thing's for sure, this story is far from over, and the silence that follows might be louder than the screams that started it. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you believe Chrisean was failed by those around her? Or did she ignore too many warnings herself? Was Blueface truly absent out of neglect? Or was there more to the story we haven't seen yet? And most importantly, who's really to blame when a child ends up fighting for their life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No holding back. This isn't just drama anymore, it's real, raw, and deeply tragic. We want to hear from the mothers, the fathers, the survivors, and the fans who've been watching this play out for months. Do you believe Chrisean should be granted full custody? Should CPS step in permanently? Or is this just another chapter in a never-ending storm? Hit that like button if your heart broke at any moment during this story. Subscribe now to stay locked in, because the next update might bring a whole new twist no one's ready for. We're watching the court case, the medical updates, and every single move that unfolds behind the scenes. If you thought this was the end, think again, because in the world